Hi there, welcome to today's Go Live. So we're now on week 2 of the Go Live. So if you've only just joined us from this week, just a reminder of what we did last week. So we did an attention grabber and we did a little game called food circuits. Then we went on to introduce our marker word, did a little exercise, 101 things to do with a cardboard box, and some hand target work. And then we went over crate training and the importance of your puppy getting enough sleep. And then we went on to talk about socialisation and we looked at some confidence building with some novel items. So if you're only just joining us this week, remember those Facebook Lives are still available. You can go back and watch those at your leisure. Okay, today what we're going to do is start with handling this week. Various things coming up this week, and one you'll probably be particularly interested in is the recall training, which we're going to do later on in the week. So, welcome for those who've not met me before, it's Di Martin, and today we're going to talk about just basic handling exercises that I do with my puppies. Now, just as a reminder, last week I mentioned about your puppy forming emotions based on patterns and pictures. Okay, so when you're new to owning dogs and your puppy is doing something you don't want them to do, an action you might be taking is approaching them to stop them. And usually that stopping them involves your hands being in the equation. Also, if they put things in their mouth that are either of value to you or that you consider as potentially dangerous, that you might be going up and physically opening the puppy's mouth and removing those items. Now I'm going to talk to you about a little stone story because most of my clients do have problems with puppies picking up stones in the garden. Okay, I have an area with stones and I tend to do a lot of management of that by putting rubber sheeting over it, but there are areas you won't be able to manage. So think of this from the puppy's point of view. The puppy picks up a stone, you consider it as dangerous, so you walk over to it, open its mouth and take it. Now you get away with it the first time and maybe the second time, but remember they're learning in patterns. So by the third time, as you approach them, the puppy knows exactly what you're going to do, so then they run off with the stone. Okay, you chase them, eventually you get hold of the puppy and you manage to take the stone off of them. Think what the puppy has learned from this experience. Okay, now these stones you've turned into gold bars. Okay, because if you want them all, they must be of value. And if I pick them up, there's a great chase game on offer. So now I'm beginning to teach the puppy attention-seeking behaviours. What I've also taught the puppy, which you might not have thought about, is that I'm a potential threat to you if you have something in your mouth. Now that's going to affect your toy play as well. And a lot of my clients do like to play with balls early on with their dogs, but if you roll a ball and the puppy comes back, what's the first action you're going to do when they come back? You're going to try and take it. So you're presenting this picture to the puppy again, of which they might kind of back off. Of course, we're teaching them to play and interact with us. And we're playing, I think we're either doing this week or next week. Okay, that can potentially, if they're seeing you as a threat, that's not a good feeling for them to have and a good emotion. Okay, that's not good for your overall relationship with the puppy. But also, with some dogs, you could potentially go on and get possessiveness problems and then potentially guarding. But think of how many times you present this picture to the puppy, okay? And we definitely want the puppy to see that as a positive picture. So if you have been doing all of those things, don't worry, okay? You're learning and developing skills. So it's often easier sometimes to give them negative feedback and not see the whole picture of what the dog is learning through that interaction. But hopefully I'm going to help you here today with some tools and techniques to kind of undo that and be a little bit more proactive in your training. So one exercise I do, and I appreciate this might be a little bit difficult to see me and the puppy in this scenario, but I do a lot throughout the day. I'm just going to grab some food, where I approach my puppy when they're doing different things. So she's into her snuffle mat. You can see she's already come off the snuffle mat because she knows Mummy's doing an approach and feed. So basically the dog could be doing anything. It could be doing nothing. It could be relaxing. Okay? It could be playing with its toys. Now if you have done a little bit of removing things from its mouth, you might see that when it's got something that you consider to be of value and you approach to feed it, it might already be running off. So teach it out of that context first, if you can. Okay? So if she was doing nothing, I'm just coming in. Another reason why I use my bowl hand, I'm just coming in and kind of approaching the puppy and feeding. And this is something that I will do all day long throughout the day. Okay, I will also do, and I pretty much do this most days, I'm going to do a little bit of standing with her to get the stand, feed with the head level. Okay, so you can see she's taken up that stand position. And what I'm doing is just drip feeding her treats there. And I'm just slowly going to run my hands over the puppy. Okay, I might look in her ears. If she wiggles about a bit, I just bring her back in. And if she stops eating for any reason, okay, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. Try and get you. I tend to do it on a platform only because I do a lot of platform work with my puppies. Okay, so I'm going to be able to go down, touch her legs, pick up the paw, locate the claw, and I'm locating the claw for clipping later on and just getting her used to her paws being handled. Okay, we might take the scruff, ready for vaccination, lift up the tail, ready for temperature taking, if your dog's got a tail, good baby. Now another way you can do this, you can see I'm drip feeding her all the time, which might be difficult with some dogs if you haven't got round to teaching your puppy yet how to take food gently and to use their tongue. Another alternative is some of these squirty tubes. She's not tasted this one before, it's fish, we'll see if she likes it. So there's several of these squirty tubes I get. There's a liver paste and a fish one that I use. This is the first time she's had fish. She usually likes fish, she's got salmon in her. No, she's decided she doesn't like that one. Okay, liver paste one she really, really likes. But that's another way of doing it. So you're just teaching them to lick on the stick. I'm just going to go for a little bit more food here. This is what she prefers. Obviously, Mummy's giving her the higher value stuff first. Okay, but that would be a way. Obviously, the puppy could be biting at your hand here, and I don't want to kind of teach biting. She's pretty good in that she uses her tongue. Okay, so that's not hurting me at all. But if it was hurting, I could even use a stuffed Kong kind of fill up. Okay, so just stand on that mat, have some hands with. Good, baby. Okay, good. Baby. There you go, good girl. Okay, so also I'm going to do that on a raised surface. And the reason I'm going to do it on a raised surface, when she goes to the vet's, probably as an adult dog, she's going to be standing on the floor. But as a baby, she's going to be handled by strange people, maybe on an elevated table. Okay. Now for this, I'm also going to go into what I do when I'm picking my puppy up. So I always tell them first, so I go pick-ups. Okay, I come in slowly, pick them up, cradle them under my arm, and I'll give them a few treats. Okay, and again, I'll do this throughout the day, because often we do tend to pick the puppies up to do negative things, don't we? I need to pick you up to put you in the crate sometimes. I need to pick you up to put you in the van. I need to pick you up to put you in the bath. Okay, so I don't want all the picking up events to be negative. So pick up, say the word first, rather than show the body language first, which I did a little bit simultaneously there, feed, and pop her down again. So word first, pick up. Okay, come over, pick up nice and gently, and there we go. So this time we're going to go onto the table, just grab another handful of food, and exactly the same exercise, but this time just on an elevated surface. Now I obviously have lots of puppy equipment where I've got access to do this. You could always do this on, you could put a bit of vet bed on a surface that is non-slip, and do it on any kind of surface that you're happy to put the kind of puppy on. Okay, obviously being careful here because you don't want them falling off. So I'm cradling a little bit more. Usually at the vet you might have a veterinary nurse kind of handling the puppy and doing a little bit of feeding while the vet is looking. So often you've got kind of two, particularly at the moment. Obviously you can go in and handle your puppy yourself if it wasn't for COVID at the moment. Good. And pick up. Good. Baby. Oh, what a clever girl. Yeah, you're a clever baby. Oh, you're a clever baby girl. Yes, you are. Good. And let's pop you down there. Good. Okay. So there's you've got 3 handling exercises. So approach and feeding them throughout the day so they're not worried about your approach, and I do that in all different areas, even in the garden. I may need to pick up my puppy outdoors, so when I'm first walking them outdoors, and that may be just because I've got an enthusiastic dog running over that might be too big to play with my puppy. And I don't want them to have any negative experiences. So I may need to pick her up outside. So I will practice that when they're first going outside, just to do a pick up and some feeding, so that I'm not just picking her up in what I consider a situation where she needs to be picked up. Okay, approaching throughout the day, outside, also on a walk. know she might be sniffing, so I just approach where she's sniffing and I give her a little bit of food, okay? So they're used to me coming over to them and they're absolutely fine with that. The next important exercise I want to do is get the dog used to me holding the collar, okay? I never want to use the collar as a negative. So I don't want to grab their collar and move them off the sofa. I don't want to pick them up to move them off the sofa. Okay, so I do an awful lot of collar work, and I consider holding the puppy's collar to be the same as holding a child's hand. Okay, when I build up my lead work over the next kind of 6 months with her, I'll be doing a lot of collar sensitivity and teaching her to move with the pressure of the collar. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we do the lead work, which I think is coming kind of next week. So to start this off, handful of food, got my source food here. I think you can see Puppy here. I'll just move her forward just in case. Okay, so what I'm going to do is come in simultaneously with my hand, just touching her on the side of the face as I feed her. So I'm doing it simultaneously to start with, and then this hand's going to come in, touch, yep, and then I'm going to mark her. Yep. Yep. Good. Now I'm going to come down, touch the collar, yep, and down, touch the collar, yep. You want to read your puppy's body language a lot here. Yep, you can see that there's no body language coming in there, that there's any worry. Yep, okay, because she's never been handled, yep, in any way which would cause her to worry. But if you've already, yep, pulled your puppy off the sofa by the collar or pulled them by the collar into the crate, then you may have some negatives. Yep. Okay, so you may need to work through this process a lot slower. So I'm watching her ear position, I'm watching whether that head's moving away from my hand or whether she's happy with it coming into the hand. Okay, so we do a little yip. Okay, come down, touch the collar, yip. Touch the collar, yip. Touch the collar, yip. And she's not ready, I've never really done the next stage with her. Okay, she has a little squeak then about noise outside. Yep. Okay, now I'm just going to hold the collar. Yep. Come in and hold the collar. Yep. Hold the collar. Yep. Good. And as I say, she's not ready for the next stage, but the next stage, whoosh, good baby. The next stage I would do from there is I would hold the collar and pop them into a sit and do a duration behaviour. Okay, so the collar, if I'm stood still, just means to sit there and mummy's feeding you nice and calmly. Okay, that might be something that I would use as a tool outside when I'm on a walk, just as a way of distracting or kind of calming the puppy in situations where I'm going past kind of different things in the environment. Good baby. For those that haven't met, this is little Mex, okay, and she's 10 weeks old. And she's going to the vets for her vaccination tomorrow, so a little bit of practice of this is really good. So this is something that I would do with your puppies before they go for a health check. Ideally, once you've got them at 8 weeks old, they have been to the vets already for their vaccinations, but I'd always put them into the vets for a health check, do a lot of pre-work on this prior to them going to the vets. And I also include a kind of second person in that handling, so they're getting used to the kind of veterinary situation. So that by the time she goes to the vets for her vaccination tomorrow, you know, she's used to this kind of picture. Okay, so lots of little daily handling exercises to do, okay. All of these exercises are really just helping your puppy gain trust in your handling, which is really important for your overall relationship and then building confidence. Okay, that's it for today on handling. If you put any questions in the group, remember we've got a question and answer session every Friday. So because my computer screen is over there, I can't see you all saying hello. So hello to everyone that's joined us and thank you for joining us. Questions will be on Friday. Do add your questions as you're going in, as you think of them, because we will pick out all those questions and answer them on Friday, where you can kind of join us live and ask us questions live as well. So just to recap from today, doing a lot of stand work, doing gentle handling with your puppy. I tend to do that on a daily basis, just for a couple of minutes. Okay, approaching and feeding all throughout the day. Remember, your pickups have got to be seen as positive, so you can do a pickup, tell them what you're doing, pick them up, give them a little piece of food, pop them down a bit. Remember to do some work on elevated surfaces before they go into the vets, and start off some collar handling. Remember, there's extension to all of these exercises that I'm talking about and more on the online course, and that we have a competition that is going to start from the end of next week. So we want to see you putting some of this work into practice, and you send us a little video in and tell us how these sessions have helped you, and the winner will get free access to that online course, okay? About 8.5 hours of material, and we're adding new things to that all the time. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm just trying to think what we're doing tomorrow. It's going to be a surprise for me as well, because I've forgotten what we're doing tomorrow. But remember, we've got recall coming up later in the week. Okay, bye for now. Thank you for watching.